Yes, sir. Episode 280, and I got a little something to say for you here. There's already a design in place to control the human race, and if I say too much, it's me that will erase. So fix your face, your time to fix the. Whoa. So fix your face, it's time to fix your situation, because too much time is wasted. So please take control and glorify your soul, because our purity and spirituality will be our only guarantee to be safe and free. And what they will do is create a police state, and some will say that it's already too late. So what could we debate? Don't you know your right to vote can go away, and it could be amended and be no one day. So who's to say or who's to know that aliens haven't been here since the pyramids, yo? But what I want to know is, why do you trust them so when they hate us so? And we'll never say sorry and keep on treating us just like basic Atari. Who are we? The original that's been mixed. Plus we've been violently ripped apart by the 666. Yeah. That's it. I was going to give you a little bit of verse 2, but we got to get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm Eric Taylor, BigEAstro, episode 280 of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast. And I have a very awesome, dope, my buddy, my friend, amazing returning guest, spiritual healer, psychic medium, channeler, Rayan Raelsbek. Welcome to the show, my brother.
What's up, man? It's good to be back. Really good to be back. Excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of long overdue. I kind of feel like it's like we did the first show, Crazy Connected, and then we were planning this, and then look at what look at all that has happened.
I know. And I mean, I was just talking to my partner before this too. Like when we were getting ready to do that episode, I could feel that it was like kind of a chapter closing, opening type thing. Like the way the different astrology perspectives were coming and the way we were exchanging stuff, it was like, I can feel that this is like a crux point for moving forward. And now I look back and I'm just like, oh my God, that was what, like 3 months ago?
I know, Libra season. Hey, wait, not only Libra season, but you met a wonderful Libra lady. So that's awesome.
I did. Yes, I did indeed.
That is really awesome. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that some more another time. But so what's so fascinating is that, you know, we're going to get into a lot tonight, and I'll wait for people to come into the chat. Hey, you guys.
What's up, Daraj?
Yeah. What's up, Who is it? Who is that?
My buddy Dayraj.
Oh, what's up, Dayraj? Welcome, man.
Yeah.
Listen, but I kind of want to. We kind of touched about this last time, and then the election happened, and here we are. And we know the way the world's been spinning, and we really both understand, you know, what the nefarious ones want to do and want to prevent and stuff like that. So I guess I really want to jump in with, where are we in terms of our ascension right now, in terms of the collective? There's a lot of warriors out there, light workers and healers like yourself and myself, doing the spiritual work, trying to raise the vibration and frequency of Gaia Mother Earth, along with the help from our galactic ancestors, X-class, M-class, solar flares, so much. But where do you think we are as you channeled and tapped in our ascension right now?
Well, all of this happening signifies that we're at a very far along process, because this is really like the crux, the final conflict, the final showdown per se, that has been being prepared for many time cycles. So while this might last for a while, it's really signifying that we've reached this point of light and love in our ascension process. So we're ready to then unearth this stuff and to face it. And so, well, I went through my full awakening during COVID, and I know there were a lot of people starting to get back into it, getting into it around like 2012, early 2000s. And so you could see these waves that opened up for people. And so what I saw happen with the wave that I was a part of in 2020 It's like we all kind of anchored into this foundation. So now there's this space that's being held for the awakening process for anyone who's ready to choose it. And so,
Mm.
well, I was going through that in 2020, the space was still kind of like very murky, and
Right.
very kind of like clogged and distorted. To well as there is still distortion and confusion going on, for someone who decides they want to live a spiritual life, there's stuff available to them like that. Like immediately, there are
Oh,
handfuls of positively polarized beings of information already and available for them. So this is where we hit like the exponential rate of like things are moving at a quantum level,
yeah.
and we're going to see it start to speed up. We're in a bell curve. And so it's like, because we're ready for it, that means we're able to hold this space for the earth to really process this disease and this parasite kind of out of her body.
I I love the way not only that you broke it down, but the description is so vibrant and alive, like sound frequencies, like light energy, because it makes me think of with Gaia Mother Earth and knowing that the trees are sentient beings. And I know they just released a study recently that our plants actually, just like our pets, they can sense when we're coming back home, and they like, hype up and pipe up. And I'm just like, wow, that's so deep. And it makes you realize that, yeah, every organism is living. And we've got to become living and alive and awaken, right? To get out of this system in the matrix, to then really stay in that gratitude and those four higher frequencies, right? Gratitude, joy, love, and authenticity, and
Mhm.
know that we are one with the plants and the trees, the animals, right? We have so long thought of human or mankind has been, especially with the patriarchal system, been so conquering, destroying, pillaging. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think now, like you're saying, there's this, coming back, the recycling to becoming one and connected to Gaia. And
Mhm.
that is what's going to help us with the rest of our ascension. Because, I mean, the trees and these other things are so far ahead of us. So
Mhm.
we've got a lot to catch up and to learn. And I really feel like that all is coming online in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, definitely. It's the vibrational resonance like you're talking about, and like us kind of softening and getting back into that state of like being embraced by the earth. And so as this conflict is happening, then everyone who's connected into that state, we're all going to be guided to go where we need to go, when we need to be there, say the things we need to say. And so it's everything's kind of like in position. And it's because we've all connected back in with the trees, with the animals. We say animals like we're not an animal ourselves.
I
And
know.
so it's like I always think of the word humanimal. It's like we are an animal, and so surrendering in back into that, exactly like you're saying, it's much more simple than we make it out to be, and it can be more simple than that.
So I think tonight is fitting, right? I got to share, the astrology, your Capricorn rising, Virgo moon, Sagittarius sun, and the moon's in Virgo now.
Mm,
And tonight's the winter solstice, Capricorn season.
I know.
So, when you check in energetically, what does winter represent for you, right? Because I know with Capricorn season and just this time, as I always tell the collective, the real New Year, don't set any silly New Year's resolutions on January 1st. That's a false flag. It's not a real New Year. Do it
Mhm,
on the equinox. But we are changing the calendar, which is, kind of been stolen and fake and all that too,
mhm,
right? But still, we have to deal with it energetically because it's like a group think tank, right? If everyone
mhm.
feels it's 2025, then that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
God knows, with the Ethiopian calendar, the Mayan, we don't really know what year it is, right? But let's say it's universal 9 year 2025, and the winter solstice is here. Capricorn season is officially on right now.
Mhm.
What do you feel energetically that we as the collective need to be focused on, at this time, as the earth and spiritually we're all going through this transition, but then even connecting it to the introspection of winter? What does that mean for you spiritually and energetically?
So with winter, you mentioned all these different calendars, and it's all different ways of organizing our experience, right?
Yeah.
We could take these different calendars and kind of cross them over, see how they correspond. A lot of them are different kind of pieces to this overall puzzle. And so we're working with different systems here. And so, like you're saying, maybe the year 9 doesn't exactly start until March for people who are only using the astrology year. But working with the numerology of the Gregorian calendar still helps because there's an entire collective motion that is around that system. And so with winter, I organize it all through the perspective of the seasons and of the equinox and of the solstice. So it's a 4-point system, which this brings us into the 4th dimension and the 5th dimension. But, I actually see it as like a mathematical process. So I see summer as a multiplication point, fall as a subtraction point, winter as a division point, and then spring as an addition point. So as you're in this division space of this is why it's that darkness, and every year we feel ourselves kind of come back into this contracted state, because I think we're going in and we're digesting, we're dividing everything. We're expanding it out so we can see what is within our space, so we can fill the nutrients and then release the waste in order to then add the light as that comes in through the spring equinox. And so the winter is much I really fall into this like rest and recharge type space. And I think that we're moving into this overall collective space where we've really had a lot of rest and recharge. I think a lot of us have so far, and that we're moving into almost like an action state moving forward. And I think that there's a lot of being and rest and relaxation within that action. But I feel that many of us are going to be called to specific action, say from this winter solstice to the next winter solstice. Like, I think a lot of us are going to find ourselves called into action in certain experiences and situations that we've been preparing for the last 10 years, 12 years, 7 years, all the different cycles. This 9 represents the atomic doorway. So that is an actual chakra that is in our mouth. And so it represents the word coming out through vibration and manifesting through the doorway of the atomic structure. So we're bringing everything up and out that we have created and accumulated for the last however long. And we're bringing it into manifestation as a collective for this year of 9. So this is really where we kind of become a social memory complex. We kind of like flip to being a social memory complex, and that turns on. And then the hive mind artificial memory complex is running simultaneously next to it.
I love that, man. I've never thought of it that way. The division, the multiplication, the addition, subtraction. And it's so funny, as you were saying it, my spirit and my mind is like, your Virgo moon's talking to like all my Virgo stellium. And I'm like, yep.
I got to give a shout out to David Mitchell for that. David Mitchell is an author and a writer. He also wrote the book Cloud Atlas, which is a movie, an amazing movie.
Okay, I gotta check out the book and the movie, Cloud Atlas.
Okay, Cloud Atlas. Highly suggest Cloud Atlas for a movie about karma, reincarnation. It's very, very well done. Wow. But in one of his books I was reading, it's like a fiction novel, he describes the equinox and season process as that mathematical formula. And I was like, holy shit. And that's actually been a huge key to helping me piece together large systems that I've been trying to figure out.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I love stuff like that. And, that's the thing that I try to explain this to my 4 sons, but I preach it to my clients and stuff. Don't ever at any age think you're done learning And don't be, this is a principle of Bruce Lee, don't be arrogant and closed off to knowledge and information, right? Like, for example, like, Mussolini, Napoleon, Hitler, they're all hated, right? But you can still take a piece of knowledge from them to integrate and learn for your own, good, bad, or indifferent, right? But there's always knowledge. So I think that sometimes as human beings, we get too arrogant, right? Whether it's these degrees or, oh, I've got a master, a PhD. And I'm like, yeah, you mastered the lies that they programmed to you. And no shade on anybody that's achieved, like, great. I went for my master's. I didn't complete it, but that was my choice. But, obviously I, enjoyed college and all that. So I'm not knocking education per se, but when you step out of the matrix, you do look at it differently and you realize you have mastered the lies that they've perpetuated and told you. It's not necessarily the real truth. And so that's what this is really right now on the precipice of the age of Aquarius. And I always tell people, look, age is over 2,100 years. It's really wonky. And we're just at the beginning, Pluto Aquarius. But already since Pluto's been in Aquarius, man, stuff's been happening, right? We're seeing Syria, South Korea, the big change here. You got all three, legislative branches and everything, all Republican. We are seeing revolutions, independence, freedom, and this pushback. I mean, I hate to even talk about it in terms of someone being unalived. That's more your term, right? I'm Gen X. We just like, murder, she wrote, old boy from United Healthcare. But well, I think people were surprised about it. I want to know your thought on this, right? I mean, we'll get into. I want you to get into whether I don't think it's.
It would be fun to tune into him. Actually, I haven't.
Yeah, I want you to tune into him, and I really think. But so this is the thing, though, right?
Yeah.
I think the media, which is all programming, they were. I don't watch it, but I heard in different reports that they were surprised at how indifferent the public was, and the public was more like all about. Supposed murderer or whatever person, Luigi, whatever, that they were on his side. And it's like, hello, have you been around since whenever? Like people are tired of these insurance companies, the Fortune 500, the billionaires, the lobbyists, the politicians, the celebrities, the haves versus the have-nots. The have-nots are awakening. And they have had enough, and they're tired of the systems. I just read a report about the children in China, the Gen Zs in China. They're not playing into the system like their parents or grandparents did. They're like, nah, I'm not down with this oppression of the Chinese government. So it's worldwide, man. Yeah. And so what are your thoughts about kind of this new awakening, really energetically with Pluto and Aquarius, and then that whole situation? And maybe you tune into him for us now too.
Oh man, so much I want to say to that. That's such a beautiful layout of what we can talk about. First of all, the Pluto and Aquarius thing, I just want to point out that in the galactic zodiac system, Pluto exists in the 10th dimensional sphere, which is in the left ear. And so the 10th dimensional stargate on the planet is Iran and Iraq. So right when Pluto comes into the space, it's like, I use like a metaphor of like a toothpaste tube. It's like there's all this gunk that needs to come out, and we're like squeezing it up, and it happens to come out in certain areas based off of the astrological alignments. And when I was just putting this together, but so back during the French Revolution, they had to change the prison system and the punishment system. They were using public execution and public humiliation through what we know of these public execution techniques. And the public actually started to side with the people who were getting executed. So the monarchy had to put in a new system, and this is where they brought in the policing system, and they brought in the jail system called the panopticon, which is like a security system where they're actually intentionally bringing in the imprisonment of your beliefs in your mind. So that's where they insert the law and they put you in more of a confined state in your overall life, rather than just before where you could get executed for these particular things. You're then getting bombarded with all these different laws, all these different things, and you're going to be shunned from society if you get caught doing this. So now we're seeing this, like you're talking about, people who are like seeing the thing with the United Healthcare CEO, and they're siding with the person who did it. So at the same time, we're going to see this monarchy, the empire, implement more strategic punishment laws and imprisonment systems in order to create more security, more surveillance, because they're actually seeing that people are starting to pull further away from following those laws and following those regulations from before.
That's why they called him a terrorist.
Yes.
They used that word. I was like,
they're going to start using that a lot.
I know.
And then they're going to be, they're bringing in the social crediting score, all of the digital banking, all of the AI surveillance, like everything has been preparing for people to want to pull away and them to have this kind of hold and this grip over what is happening and what is going on in people's minds.
Okay, I want you to tune into him, but then as we're saying that at the same time, then we've got to be honest and speak about to crypto or not to crypto, right? Because it's the battle. I think there was the intention, how it started, to have decentralized currency and money. But what people don't realize is that I feel whether, whoever's behind it, whether it's Elon or this and that, or a couple of fellas, together, the problem is that you had the governments and BlackRock and all these different, financial companies jump in and say, well, wait a minute, we can use this to get rid of the fiat currency. And then it's checkmate, right? Because we can control them by the technology, the exchange of money, where we can just either make it disappear or we can say you cannot do it because you don't have the paper cash anymore to like even give a homeless person a $5 bill or to hand your mom like a $10 bill. You know what I mean? And this is where that monitoring and Big Brother comes in. And you could think back to George Orwell and all the dystopian and different books, and so that's fascinating. So I kind of want your thoughts checking in on him, and then really how you view crypto beginning and then crypto now in the future.
Yeah. So when I'm tuning in to him, like this feels like some form of like retaliation in like the corporate espionage world, but that this extends further into the black magic dark underside of this corporate world, where something was going on. There was like some sort of feud happening that they needed with the guy who got murdered. And
well, he was doing insider trading, that, right? Yeah, and all that stuff.
It's very much like a black magic entity orchestrated event in order to create to take someone out of the picture, but then utilize that event as this kind of like
control mechanism,
distraction type thing. And so that's why we see like all the stuff with like the I don't know if it's Mario characters, but I mean his name's Luigi. So then there's like the mushroom. I can't remember exactly what it was.
No, the Pokemon and then the number 286.
Yeah.
And then it connects to all these other numbers. And I mean, oh my God.
So that numerology like that is an indication of how much magic has been used to influence the event. And so while he consciously might not be understanding the full scope of what he's doing numerologically, there are energies in him and working through him that are being done through the coordination of magic, which is numbers in the fourth dimension, and it's organizing timelines. So there's going to be all this dark synchronicity that's basically created through the organizing of those events. And so there have been people say that they don't even know if it was actually him that got arrested.
It doesn't look like him when you look at it close. Yeah. The lips and then the space between the eyes.
Yeah, so I don't, it feels like it's just way bigger than we realize. And it's all
Of course
connected
it
into
is.
this crypto stuff that you're talking about too, and into like these corporations that, well, they are like neutral in service to self, they're also fighting each other the entire time. And so like with new technologies that are coming out, what those could mean, implementing new ways of doing things, like they're constantly trying to control the field and trying to control every single thing about what's going on. So they're going to go to a very large extent in order to do that. And I'm thinking of, I just started watching this show called Fringe. Have you heard of Fringe?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't seen it. What
I
streaming network?
highly
Where is it on?
recommend. It's on Amazon Prime
Okay.
for free right now. But it's a J.J. Abrams, I think,
Oh.
produced and written show, and it is a full look into what's going on in this corporation side of things. With it's about fringe science, and like all these testing and experiments and things that are being done through these types of corporations. And so it's like a corporation's going to do what it needs to do in order to take people out and in order to control the entire perception of what is going on. And they're just going to do that over and over and over again.
Yep.
And with with crypto, I made a video about Bitcoin specifically, but that was a seed of like a service to self being. That was like a reptilian type being that was seeding Bitcoin strategically through like North Korea is who I saw through that region. And that's all running through this next dimensional new world order monetary system where they're claiming things are decentralized, but they're actually centralized because we just don't have ways of picking up the way that it's been centralized. So our current system and our current limitations in perception make us think, oh, this isn't decentralized, but it's been implemented to be centralized through these higher dimensional groups, which are the Orion groups. You know, it all leads back through into the Draco constellation and into the Orion constellation, and a controlling again through just these means of survival now is what it is for us, this money that is survival. And so it's really, and you think about blockchain itself too, like I know that blockchain, wasn't it being used for like black market, like drugs?
Yes, they were saying there was a lot of stuff on the dark web.
Yeah, the dark web. That's
and then they're saying like, you know, that we have no idea who's really behind it. It's like Elon, CIA, like this and that, like all these and a couple other different gentlemen. I don't know, but it's funny because I knew it was what was coming in the way of the future. But I also, it's weird because like you said, you see positives of it, right?
Yeah.
You see where you can just do certain things.
Yeah.
And this is where you can literally fund revolutions and stuff. But they said it was also about funding like sex trafficking, all types of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really weird because the same thing that can give you freedom can totally lock you down and control, where they monitor your every purchase and will say, oh, guess what? We got the social credit score. You know, you shouldn't eat this, but you can't, you know, anyway, I'm just saying you should, but you cannot buy soda and Doritos because that's a strain on our healthcare system. So you get like a negative point, right? You get a subtraction.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means you can't travel for 5 months.
Yeah.
Because you did so many days having cigarettes, alcohol, soda, and chips.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where it limits, you know, something like a republic, like we are, so-called democracy, but freedom, right? So it's really, really deep. But I want you to read some comments in the chat, see if we have any questions, because I know people are here, and see what they're saying.
Yeah, just one more before I lose this on finishing up that topic. I'm seeing this blockchain and crypto as this kind of like mirrored construct where on the surface like you're saying, it's like these seemingly positive things that are going on, but there's this, like, it's almost like a looking glass technology type effect where on the underbelly of it, there's actually like dark, what's it called? Dark market. I can't remember what you
Oh,
call
the
it.
dark web. Yeah.
Dark web, like black market, like like almost like stock markets going on that are funding these human trafficking operations
Oh, yeah.
through just the simple systems of crypto and of blockchain. So it's like exactly like you're saying, how would they trick us to make us think, like, give us the false light illumination of freedom? Well, underneath, it's just been created in that dark architecture that's been holding us captive for so long. And so people don't realize, like, oh, well, it's doing these positive things, these things are happening and all of this. And it's like, well, all of that energy is being created from a system that wants to eat that energy and wants to then consume other beings' energies. And so it's going to keep us at a limitation no matter how much positivity it can seem to get us. We're going to hit a limitation point, and it's going to be a finite system that will digress us back into these states that we've been trying to get away from.
And I think we need to get back to the gold and silver, because also it's perfect that you said that, because it's also the same thing with AI, right? You know, it's like it becomes this all-encompassing beast and devil that's destroying all industries. It will destroy the artists, it will destroy the actors, destroy the music, destroy, you know, all different, you know, jobs and careers. And so, and same thing with I tell people, don't you dare get an electric car. And don't support Elon with Tesla. That is nothing but a death trap. Like, oh my God. And also, what's so ignorant about it, people don't ever stop and think. When you're driving in a lithium vehicle, you're sitting on cancer, dude. Like your ovaries and your testicles are roasting and cooking. It makes no sense to me. And we don't have enough for every human being to have an electric car in America for the power grid. Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, besides what we're doing to the freaking innocent men, women, and children in the Congo, and then let's not get to North Carolina, Asheville. I mean, it's disgusting. So let's go to the chat. We'll get to so much more.
We'll call that a closing of that one. But what's up, everybody? So what's up today, Raj? Sabali Pure.
Yeah, that's wifey.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Hotep, Eric? What does Hotep mean? Hello, perhaps? Teresa Miller. Hotep, Eric. What's up?
Hey, Teresa Miller.
Hello, K.O. Kolux. Kim Kala.
Hey, Kim. Hey, Coco Locks. Yeah,
Coco Locks. Awake in the Dream School.
Now Awake in the Dream School. She was my guest on Wednesday. She's a brilliant astrologer and herbalist. And just, I love that name, right? Awake in the Dream School. She's deep like that. So it's her name is Anjani Seagrass. Yeah, she was my guest on Wednesday night. I'll send you the podcast. Really deep sister. If you guys have any questions, and also Rayan is going to tune in and maybe do a couple, maybe psychic readings for some people in the chat. If you have any questions about what's going on or energetically things, but so let's do this.
Yeah, real quick. If anyone has questions, like Q&A for like channeling space, like there can be a Q&A that goes back and forth around that type of stuff. So while I can select one or two people to do a psychic reading, also feel free to pop in your questions around all of this type of stuff, and we can get to it.
I love that. So let's get to it, right? The world has gotten just a little bit crazier. The drones and the orbs started in Jersey, a little bit New York, Long Island. Now it's Massachusetts, Minnesota, Miami, California, Arizona. I don't know how many states, but I mean, we know about Project Bluebeam. We know about the fact that, like you said, we've been raising our light and vibration and frequency so much that, the evil ones, they know that they've lost. So this is what I explained, that like Matrix is going to be matrixing. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna throw everything to the wall, everything out there, all their bells and whistles, technologies and tricks to bring us into a state of fear and confusion. And this is why, you guys, they've been doing these Congress UAPs and aliens, and I mean, I almost laugh listening to them talk about it in the questions, because it's like, okay, why now? Right? Like a lot of people didn't even realize during the pandemic, there was like a news article, it was the New York Times, Washington Post, where England and Great Britain were admitting to aliens, and it was like a news drop on a Friday during the pandemic. And I'm just like, I can't believe that they're doing, you know what I mean? But so this is where we're at. But I have my thoughts. I want to get what you see. What are you feeling, the intention behind it? And then obviously, if it was really, really nefarious, our government would already shut it down if they had the capabilities to. So what do you think the drones and the orbs really are?
So I think it's what you mentioned, like it's layers to this blue beam agenda. So like something like orbs and I mean a lot of different things, they've revealed over the last few years these augmented reality technologies, different billboards and the things with like the Las Vegas sphere, like all of that's prepping our perception to have a blurred line of discernment. If something like that shows up in the sky, then we're easily then convinced around those. So I think some of the orbs are some blue beam technology and holographic technology combined with like reverse engineered craft, with craft that are like some neutral and service to self extraterrestrials. And so I feel the drones and the majority of the physical craft that's showing itself right now is reverse engineered through the different governments, and it's been coordinated through these extraterrestrial factions though, and they're running this kind of like really starting to overstimulate everybody, just bringing everything to like, you're going to be confused about what's going on, and you're going to be getting information from every different angle, potentials of everything this could be, lights, all the sounds, every single thing. Like it's really kind of prepping the scene for spreading more fear and more confusion. Because then once they have this going on, then all they have to do is bring in some biological thing going on, some virus, some radiation, something that's happening.
California, you heard what your boy did. Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency because of the bird flu.
Wow. So that's very interesting, because I made a video the other day that's talking about how it was a channeled message from the Venusian Galactic Council, who's a part of the Galactic Confederation of Worlds, talking about how these service to self factions have sprayed nanotechnology on the coasts of California up through Oregon and into Washington, and then on the East Coast from Florida up to Maine, and that it's creating like flu-like symptoms, like parasitic worms, intestinal worms, all of this different stuff. And so then they're just going to pass it off as these different things that are happening. I think they're going to potentially do some stuff around radiation and like radiation spreading somehow. But people are going to feel these symptoms and feel sick and feel confused, because it's like, but it's going to be less of like, I think the COVID thing was like, this is COVID, this is what's happening, like this is what's going on. It's going to be much more like, well, this is what's going on, this is what's going on, this is what's going on.
Right, a multitude of different things in different regions. Yeah,
just really spreading people up. And then the extraterrestrials are going to present themselves in different ways. So you're going to have the service to self present themselves as this like alien invasion, this like antichrist type coercion of invasion, of making people think that they're trapped, that it's the furthest lowest timeline in this trinity of the Ascension. So as this satanic invasion is going on, then the neutral Luciferic groups, neutral and service to self, they're going to present themselves as saviors to the problem. So this is like the Galactic Federation of Light, the Galactic Federation, the Children of Light, some of these, the Great White Brotherhood of Light, these different groups, the Brotherhood of the Snake, all of these different types of councils that are then going to present themselves as like, we're your higher ET family, but they're going to be doing everything in a very manipulative, Luciferic way.
So you said something interesting there. So are you saying that the Galactic Federation, are you sensing that they're not benevolent, that they're not positive?
So the distinction that I've come to is that the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Federation of Light are a defected system, diverged system from the positive polarized Galactic Confederation of Worlds. So these groups have polarized negatively and away from the law of one embodiment, and they've gone through Luciferic kind of like polarization, and they call themselves the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Federation of Light. And so, while I do think there's a lot of channelers who are bringing through the positively polarized Galactic Confederation of Worlds, they're calling it the Galactic Federation.
Okay.
And there's just not a distinction happening. Like someone like Lori Ladd, I make that example because I feel very positive things coming from her transmissions, from all of her things, and she says the Galactic Federation. So in some instances, I think it's just a word usage
about a terminology. Okay.
But in the overall grand scheme of things, there are negatively polarized groups that are calling themselves the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Federation of Light.
Okay. Because one thing that I would say is that I do believe the positive aliens have already broken down. We're not going to have nuclear war here. They're not going to allow that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but where do you think we are with, so, because this is really fascinating, right? You know, Planet Nibiru, you know, they feel that the, either the Sumerian or Anunnaki gods in the Pentagon, some of them feel like they're coming back, and they're afraid because they feel like, you know, they're gonna have to pay for what they've been doing to humanity and mankind. And it's funny that you mentioned about Iran and Iraq and the Stargate, right? And the left ear and the different chakras of the earth, right? Because that takes us back to the intention of what they did on the 8-8 portal 2 years ago in Maui. And then even taking out Saddam because of, you know, ancient artifacts, and maybe that he had found the Nephilim and the Stargate and all that. And so this is what happens. People think that the board game Risk or war games, you know, that like everything is religion and oil, but it's deeper than that. It is about these portals and these stargates, and it's about ancient artifacts, right? It explained to people like really how layered, you know, what we thought, oh, these religious wars and Muslims and Jews and Christians, it's further down the rabbit hole than that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And all of these different stargates represent, they're the different houses, the signs of the zodiac. So you can think of 12 stargates, 1 through 12, starting Aries is at 1, Pisces is 12.
Yeah.
And so all of these represent different families, and these different families then come through as oversoul tribes in different parts of the planet. So like Stargate 10 also corresponds directly to, again, I said Pluto, but then in the galaxy universe, multiverse, it corresponds to Lyra and Vega, the star Vega. So you can go back to, again, this 10th Stargate, and then a lot of the Anunnaki are from the 11th tribe and the 12th tribe. And so there's this war between these family lines that happens between all these different cycles that then is continuing to happen through what we're going through. And so it's like the macrocosm to the microcosm. So like you're saying, these beings are wanting to be in charge of the stargates because then they can hold the negative vibration and the negative artificial matrix in place. And so they're going to do what they need to do and fight amongst themselves even to take control of the different places. It's like gangs. This is where you get the consciousness of gangs claiming territory. They have their different sigils and their different symbols that they broadcast out. through corporations and logos and
yeah.
all of these different things. And so it's really it's about control of the consciousness, which is the control of the stargates. And so also to what you're saying, like, there's not going to be a nuclear war. There's not going to be a nuclear fallout. There may be some form of war, some form of fighting, but it's not going to be a nuclear fallout. And that's guaranteed as interference from these higher dimensional guardians. However, these guardians aren't going to intervene and like fight this war and these fights for us. Okay. So there's a lot of things that I hear about how beings are coming in and like dismantling things and like taking certain things out, like through these white hat operations and stuff. And so I know that that's happening at a ground level, but to the extent of these ETs coming in and influencing and like fighting for us and like fighting, like putting themselves in the way of our karma, that just would not work out well at all. And so they're holding back, making sure things aren't going to be destroyed. Well, it's like everyone's who's involved in this karma has incarnated on this planet. And so that's what we're starting to see come more to the surface.
It's something, man. And that's, you know, it's fascinating because I know for me, I refer back to being in coma, right? And seeing a lot of things about the future and the dimensions and stuff. And one thing that's fascinating, you know, my wife hates when I talk about this, but it's one of those things where I can't get past it because I hear different theories and different thoughts. And I know we live in a Saturnian bubble matrix, right? And the thing is with Saturn, right, being this container, the lineage, the bones, the government, the authority, father time. And like you talking about the symbols, right? You've got all the secret societies and the symbols, right? Even with the Jews, they don't realize, but the you know, I think it's the something connects to the Saturn black cube. Oh yeah. You know, and the robes, right? That what are the pastors in the Jewish they represent? But like, you know, they wear the black robe, right? And the judge, and then even the thing on the head, that comes from the Catholic Church, the yarmulke that the Jews wear, but it really comes from the Catholic Church. And so, one, when do you think the moon was hijacked? Or do you think the moon is real? Like the whole concept of like going into the light. Do you feel that this is a part of the technology of the reincarnation loop that keeps you on this prison planet?
Going into the light, what do you mean by that exactly?
So let's say, you know, when you have a near-death experience or you're about to die. Yeah. People say, go to the light. Yeah, I got it. Always makes me laugh. I think about Poltergeist. Caroline, go to the light, Caroline. mommy, I'm in the light. But seriously, because you know, I hear all these different people. Yeah, go to the light, go to the light. Well, you know, that wasn't even a thing that I saw. Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up like this because you've had these near-death experience of like, because I know that has been used to hijack the death process. So these beings have a recycling system as well, this like soul recycling system. So they can trick a soul into coming into exactly like what you're talking about. And it's this like recycling matrix. And so, you know, I haven't felt into this too extensively myself yet, although knowing that like there are many examples of people, of beings who have reached a state of consciousness and then said, well, I'm going to be leaving my body. And then they've left their body in a conscious way, an intentional way. And so it's because they have mastery. They know that they're choosing throughout that process. And so I think it's a matter of like what you're talking about, this karmic Saturnian cube is taking advantage of those who leave the body with a lot of karma still embedded in the body itself. So then it's a matter of pulling them into the light, into this recycling system in order to just continue the cycle. Because from the way that I see it as well, like
I don't just see it as this just like blinding light that like the soul goes into. I see it as much more dimensionalized, much more organized, much more vivid, much more visceral, like all of that type of thing going on. And so we do have like souls at a more new vibration who are beginners are going to have guides throughout that process, throughout that death process.
Yeah.
And so we just don't teach anyone how to die. Everyone's going through the process thinking they don't know what's going on. We're scared. We're pumping fear into them. It's all this grief. It's like, it's this whole, and that's the loosh harvesting system as well. Cause all that energy is being created. And it's like this identity that's given itself to us and called itself death is like, basically it's our reaper. We think that it's this like thing that's outside of us and that we can't choose it. And so it's just this whole like, and this is one of the driving factors of this intergalactic conflict that we're in. These are beings that have cut themselves off from the heart, so they can't tune in to the inherent creative force. Yeah. So they need to consume other life force that's outside of themselves in order to exist.
Well, it's so funny when you said that. In my head, I was thinking, well, Rayan, I'm going to officially announce tonight, starting in January 2025, I'm teaching How to Die 101.
There you go. That wouldn't be a bad thing.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, I mean, yeah, the fact that from coma, I could astral travel to my home and see my wife and my kids and my son. And, you know, I have such a different perspective than most because I've been on the other side. I've been on the death's doorstep, and there was no fear. You know what I mean? Everything was faith over fear and dealing with the spiritual warfare and all that. So it's really a different, that's why I always recommend for people to watch the movie. It was on Netflix. I watched it with my wife like soon after I got home. It's called The OA. And it is chilling because this doctor is like kidnapping people and trying to kill them. And he's studying them, bringing them to death, and then monitoring them and then bringing them back. Yeah. And he's keeping them there for a certain period of time and hooking them up to all these technological advanced monitors and to monitor what's happening in the astral realm. And it's real. I mean, it's a brilliant. And I was like watching it. It gave me chills. Like I had to pause a couple of times because it was still so new to me, right? Because we watched it probably a couple of months after I got home, and so like I had to like sometimes I'd be like, okay, wait, we got to stop. Like this is because it was bringing up things, and actually, but it was good though because it was jarring memories from the other side when I was in coma. So that's what's really fascinating. But what's really deep that you guys don't even understand, I mean, things that I saw in coma have actually come to life in my everyday life now. You know what I mean? So like I have a really deep perspective, and a lot of it will be shared in my NDE book in 2025. I will be getting that done. But why don't you
called How to Die?
Nah. I mean, how not to die, you know what I mean? Like,
how to die is not dying, I guess. I don't know. Never mind.
Well, but you know what's so funny? But that goes to my friend Anjani, and we were talking about the other night, Awaken to Dream School, because really, I think this is more of the sleep and the death state. And when we go to sleep at night, we're going back home and we're awakened. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we're back in the like I tell people, your physical avatar body gets tired. Your soul doesn't get tired. It doesn't need rest. Your soul is out there in Jupiter, Uranus, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th dimension when we're sleeping at night. So that's why you need to start to master the subconscious and the dream state. Yeah. You know, so I really focus on that a lot with my clients and you know, in my birth chart readings and living in that 12th house, which is where your sun is. So I know you know, I know your dreams are, I know, you know, what that's like because.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's been a major part of, like you're saying, of mastery is like bringing, I mean, I have extremely lucid dreams. I've moved into a space where I'm like, I'm in a whole other timeline that is an actual timeline that I've incarnated into, and it's like a parallel one. And I'm having these, like, I have recurring experiences, recurring stories, like, and because of the relationship I've created with it, I've then been able to bring that type of like dream interpretation
Mm,
into the waking state and into
okay.
the waking life. And so it's like the same types of things that happen in the dream, like that you'd use to interpret this person, this gender, this symbol, this thing, etc. You can use that in the waking state, and you begin interpreting things at like a metaphorical dream level,
Mm.
which is what's her name? Awake in the dream.
Yeah, Anjani, and it's so
Yeah,
funny you say that
right.
because we were talking about that the other night about, we were talking about, I was explaining the Jedi is real, right? It's
Yeah.
DJEDI, the Jedi, and that mastery, because I want you to become a master of the natal birth chart. It's like literally becoming a Jedi, and she was connecting it to the, and maybe you put in the chat, Shushuminati. And I was like, and I said, what'd you say, Illuminati? I was joking with her. I'd like to make her laugh. But Shushuminati, do you know about the that energy and stuff? And
No, I've never
okay,
heard
yeah,
that.
yeah, Anjani, I told you, yeah, I'm gonna hook you guys up. You got to go on her podcast because I mean, she's just, yeah, but she's really deep. But yeah, that's Shushuminati and the Jedi, because you see, what people don't really get, we have these abilities, all these superhero, Marvel and stuff. That's
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
That is us. We are Superman. We are Wolverine. We are, you know what I mean? This is what our ancient selves, we had these gifts and abilities.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Storm, all of it. And so, but that's where we have got to get, in this alkalized state and get into really what you talked about earlier. It made me think immediately. There was like a Tibetan monk that did that. Like he chose, like he was like, I'm ready to die now, and just left his body.
Mhm.
I remember
Oh,
reading something about, like, I think you probably have heard of it, like, but
yeah.
that's that type of deep spiritual, like,
Oh, yeah. There's
it,
a lot of people who have done that, and, like, I think some people are doing that, and we don't realize that they do through the death process, like, how much more consciously they are choosing to go through that. It might be just under their awareness, but they're actually really aligned with going through that death process rather than it being this kind of, like, sporadic, like, fateful type of thing.
right,
And so that state of free will, of sovereignty, is that natural state of saying, I'm not a victim to death. Nothing is telling me when I leave my physical body, and what do I need to do in order to embody that vibration to live out that reality. Because if we just say we're going to do it and then we keep just not looking at the shadow, not looking at trauma, not
yep,
healing anything, then you're not doing anything
nothing,
for the same thing. And
yep,
so you have to be able to be willing to look at what needs to be looked at to embody that reality if you want to live it. But that is the fifth dimensional state of living. That is us moving back into the state of saying, yes, we're going to choose when we leave our physical body. And like I've said in videos on my Instagram, I'm sure people are like, what the fuck? Like that I'm going to be in this body for like maybe 1,000 years. Like I'm gonna be on this earth doing a lot of stuff for a long time.
it's
And
funny you say
because
it.
I've
Oh
I've
my god,
recognized that ability to be in that eternal state of being. And this goes right back to what we're talking about, this like life essence, this idea like I am an eternal being. We all are an eternal being, but
yep,
those who have turned off their state of eternal living have to
yes,
then replace it with this artificial consciousness,
yes.
and that's what then creates the split and everything.
Oh, I love that you. Okay, we're gonna get to the chat, you guys. We're gonna come to you and take some
Yes.
questions.
I actually have something Kim. This where is it? I think it was Kim.
Yeah, no, Kim probably wants something. Kim
Kim
is she's
Kayla. Wait, she said something about your brother that passed. There is the color orange, Kim Kayla, if you're still on the Kyla, if you're still on this, the color orange keeps showing up. And there's like a finger that's pointing to you around the color orange. And around, it's like all these different forms of the color orange. And so that could be an indicator that you could use that color for a connection to your brother that has passed. And perhaps that has some sort of deeper meaning to you at this, maybe. So I just wanted to pass that along.
No, I love that. I love that. Yeah, you guys keep asking us stuff. So wait, let me see if I remember my train of thought. So yes, because that's exactly what it is. You said it. Your will, right? I have, since my father was murdered at 6 years old, I have always said I'm here for 3 digits. I'm not going anywhere until I hit 100. You know what I mean? And I've said that. And when I went through what I went through, it was so funny. Even as I was getting sicker and sicker each day, and they were literally trying to kill me and watching me get worse and didn't offer any help, nothing, right? I so sweet of them. But I never for 1 second had fear or thought I would die. I just knew. I mean, even as I told you the story, right? As they, closed the ambulance, and August 29th, I said to my wife and kids, "I'll see you in October." I don't know why I said that, but it was like I just knew, like, hey, I'm gonna just rest for a bit, and I got this. Like, I'll be back. Like, but my will, see, and that's where I think we don't realize it, but we do choose it, because if your will, I really felt like, come on, you need to bring more than that. You're not taking me out. You know what I mean? And then even in coma, I died 3 times. You know what I mean? So it was very fascinating to me, all the connections and the experiences. Even when I got shot, it was almost like completing the cycle of my father being shot, like shot in the chest and heart, just like he was. But this, for me, was in coma. But it was like I felt the warmth of the bullets. So it was very real to me. And then when I died, I remember when I died the first time, it kind of made me laugh when I got shot, because that was my second death in coma. And I was like, okay, I'm just coming right back. Like, I'm not dying. Like, okay, you want to shoot me? Fine. You know what I mean? Like, it was really wild, because I'm telling you, Rayan, it was like, it not in any confident, arrogant way, but just in this like faith way, in this deep, new understanding. I was like, you don't kill energy.
Yeah.
You don't. Like, we're here. My mother's right here. Any of of your father or any ancestors passed away, they're right there. Like, so that was something that was so powerful for me, because it made me realize, like, I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? I'm really not going anywhere. And so it was just a powerful thing. So let's go back to the chat, and then I want you to tune in to our president-elect.
Okay.
And I know you've got some theories and some updates and stuff, but for people who haven't looked at your Instagram, I want you to take us back to the original download you got, and then kind of like your last update that I saw maybe a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you've done anything after that, but let's take a couple questions and comments from the people.
Yeah, 100%. So, who else? Someone else said, we buried my mom 3 years ago. Tomorrow. Okay.
Ooh,
And it's been a rough week.
I'm sorry to hear that, but celebrate her. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, really, seriously. So I talk to my kids all the time about my mother, and I celebrate her, and I know she's hearing me celebrate her, and that brings her joy.
Yeah. And so, yeah, absolutely. And like the grief it's like a timeline thing. It's going to be naturally there.
Oh yeah.
When these dates come up, when these cycles come up.
Yeah.
And so be willing to embrace yourself in that grief.
Yeah.
But also not over attaching to that grief and
The
over
sorrow. Yeah.
to oh no, I'm in this down phase, I'm depressed, it's going to be like this. It's just your natural state of process with your heart. And so just really trust in that, and trust that, I always say for others, when they're wanting to connect with their family members or close ones that have left their body, really viewing that person as a soul first, not just identity that they were for you, but in the grand scheme of things, they're more than a soul. They're the creator itself, but however, they are the creator in a soul, and you are the creator in a soul. And so when you can align in that perspective, you can receive a little bit more guidance and kind of clear communication through that process, rather than holding all of the attachment that comes from the identity that they were incarnated as.
Yeah. And guess what? They want to see us living and thriving as we remember and honor them. Talk to her. You know what I mean? And and I know, you guys, the holidays are tough. This is my 3rd year anniversary, my 3rd Christmas without my mom. And, you know, it still hurts, you know, but I choose to laugh and celebrate, you know, and remember like each Christmas, and just how she loved on the boys, and, you know, how she would love, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner and just whatever it is, because, you know, doesn't mean the pain and the grief and the sorrow isn't real and that it won't pop up, because you're right, with the chronological the anniversaries, right? We all work on these time constraints. But know that she's always with you, and just tell her, say thank you, you know, talk to her like she's right here, for real. Like it does become better when you do that. That's what I found. The more, because my whole life, okay, you got to remember, I'm 54. Since 6, I've been talking to my dad every day of my life. I'll tell people, I've done 2 albums, 4 mixtapes, acting, television, film, theater. I did it all for my dad. Yeah, people are like, oh, you're so funny, you're this, you're da da da. It was all performing for my dad. So, you know, when you have like that North Star, you know, that's how you honor them. Like, live your best life. You know what I mean? Mom wants to see you smile. So honor her, be sad, but even in the tears, think of a funny memory and turn those tears into laughter. Because that's what I do. I'll be crying, and then I'm like, oh my God, and she used to, the way she would run around in her wheelchair, and I'm like, oh my God, she was so funny. I start laughing. That love brings the joy. You know what I mean? Like, love and joy and the gratitude of the time, and be in gratitude of the time you did have, and know that you're going to meet again. You know, you really are. All right. So let's see what else is going on in the chat. And, you know, read some of the people's names. If anybody's new here, you want to share your big 3, sun, moon, rising, that's fine. Even your friend, you know, wants to share their big 3. I like to, like, you know, give people a little insight and stuff. But I still want you to, you know, go ahead. And then I want to get back to that.
I had something to respond to what you were just saying, but I completely lost it. Oh, okay. I gotcha. And then I'll jump more into the chat. The thing that's helped me the most with that process, because I think I talked about it on the last episode, the relationship I had with my father, the whole, which I'll give you a little bit of an update on that as well. But same situation as you know, he passed away when I was 10. It's a lot of the grieving process, learning how to have that relationship. And the thing that's helped me the most is like really seeing them as God, like the one infinite creator, as them, and bringing a sense of equality to that as well. And so that's why I mentioned the soul perspectives, because like I think there's a level of like equalizing out as well, of like soul to soul, rather than just, there is the dynamic of father to son. But as you know, you guys have had many other lives together as well. And so when you bring in that scope of that larger perspective, it kind of opens up that guidance through the other dynamics that are outside of just that single dynamic of like child to parent, you know? And so I think that's like almost like a devotional like it's like a devotional contemplation practice, I guess, is how I would say it. And it's the same thing of like seeing everything as the law of one, as the one infinite creator. But that's helped me a lot in terms of just finding that fulfillment and the joy, rather than just the grief and the sadness.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Any astrology questions or anything like? Does anybody else have anything they want you to check in on?
Doesn't really see. Someone said the old uranium plant in Portsmouth, Ohio was reopened. Same place that made bombs for the Cold War. That's interesting.
Ooh.
That's very interesting. Yeah, you're by the Great Serpent too. There's a lot of interesting things happening in that area of Ohio by the Great Serpent.
Well, you saw how they've been attacking Ohio, right, in the last year and a half with the this spill and then this thing, and like it was, and a lot of people have been a lot of sicknesses after that, and I knew it at the time. I was like, oh man! Remember all last year, it was 2023, not so much 2024. They were attacking all the farmland.
Yeah.
Food supplies. And then now we've had every week there's a recall on some sort of food. You know, there's an attack on every way. Our economy, our food, the health, you know what I mean? And you know, you could say whatever you want, and I want you to check into Trump now too, but you could say whatever you want about, you know, who may be coming in or whatever, right? I don't care. I don't get into politics because I know that it's all controlled, right, and manipulated. So it's a game, you guys, and I hope you wake up out of this matrix to see that. But one thing I would say about RFK Jr. that I do like, and I've seen his chart and read it at Coffee Talk, him and Elon Musk last month, or a couple of weeks ago. And what was fascinating is that RFK Jr., the one thing I will say about him is that if he could even do half of what he desires in terms of stopping chemtrails, the glyphosate and all the toxins and sprays on the food and farmland and food, fruits and vegetables, the fluoride in the water, this would be such a better country and world. Now, maybe it's all hot air and talk, right? But what if it's not? You know what I mean? That's the thing. And so that's where I get into the orbs and the drones and maybe declaring a war or martial law, and then Biden stepping down and Harris getting in, and anything to keep Trump out. So now share with the collective what you, a few months ago, I think it was November, or about late October, it was after our show, when you did a tune in and you were channeling. And then I actually want to ask you a question about channeling and the how it came online for you and the time you put into it. But share with them your original download about Trump.
Yeah, we'll do the whole Trump date, because that's what I've been calling him on.
Yeah.
So I actually got this download long before I made that video. I got this download.
I assumed you did, yeah.
I made the first video like over the summer when I was originally getting it. And so it was probably like June, May, when I was
after the first assassination attempt.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's when I made the first video for it, but I had been seeing this leading up, like a couple months leading up to that.
Okay.
So it was after the first assassination attempt, I made the video, and it was about Trump's inner circle being infiltrated. And so like certain members of his family, certain members of his security teams, having these direct connections to these service to self groups that want to mess things up, that want to do what we know they want to do. And so I made a video talking about how I see this like compromise thing happening in his inner circle, that there's a very large potential that he finds himself in a kind of like, I keep getting the word like and seeing it as like a kidnapping type thing, that he gets taken and put in this kind of like prisoner exchange situation when there's like a very large global heated tension of conflict and war going on. So when I got this vision, it was happening. I was seeing it happen in the middle of in the middle of war. There was very clear war happening between many different countries.
Okay.
So then when I was tuning into the election, I was trying to place a time frame on that event that I was seeing. And so I was feeling I was feeling that there would be something that happened up and leading up to the election that caused this event. And so I ended up saying that there's a potential that event happens before the election. And so it was a whole process for me of having to learn this level of like trying to place timing on things, because I've done that in my life before and it hasn't really worked out. But then the things that I have seen, they always come back around and they happen at a different time.
Yes.
So I always drop.
Time is never linear in any dimension around.
Yeah. I always drop them when they don't happen. And I'm like, oh, I didn't see it right. This isn't going to happen. And then they go whoop and they come right back. And so that's still what's happening with this Trump thing. And I do still see him finding himself in this like tug of war between these families that you've been mentioning, the Anunnaki families, all of this. There's like this tug of war because he incarnated in the middle of them. So he's been finding all of their agendas, been like using their agendas against them. And he's at this point where he's now setting up this fourth dimensional kind of like neutral timeline for the collective. So someone like Elon is basically bringing in this neutral timeline, which is, you can imagine it similar to like a apocalyptic fallout that you've seen portrayed in movies. And so that's the neutral timeline, because this is the timeline where beings get stuck between. They don't choose service to self and they don't choose service to others. So there's this timeline that Elon is setting up through all of his technology. He's a representative for the Zeta Reticuli, for the Anunnaki, all of these service to self and neutral beings. So Trump is doing what he did in the last time he went to office, and he brings people into the spotlight in order for them to roll out their karma and for them to make the choices that are according to what their karma is that they need to choose. And so he's holding these people accountable in a way by bringing them into the spotlight and allowing them to show themselves. And so I feel that in this process, as it plays out, he's going to be pulled kind of out of the picture. And I don't know if they're going to let him in office. I mean, we have another like 3 weeks, right? Like, I honestly don't know if that's
and we've got a Mars opposite Pluto.
Oh my God.
Happening between like January 1st through the 3rd. It's like
with the rate of how things have been happening and the way they're rolling it all out, like I don't really see how they could let him take it in the way that he thinks he would be taking that office. It's like there's I don't know. It's like it just feels like we're everything could change like that, you know,
a drop of a dime.
Like overnight. And you think about the perspectives when you're inside of that space of the political, the intelligence space, like all of that is happening. And so they're figuring out the right time to tell the public when it makes sense. So it's like, there's already so many things happening that we know are going to happen, that are already happening, that they haven't even told us about yet. That it's like, it's all this like convergence for this Christmas and this new year. So I'd be surprised if he's able to step in there in the original way that we think.
I have to totally agree with you. I've not seen him as the next president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I haven't, I don't, and trust me, I don't even think he's, you know, this is where people get tricked, right? Because you get caught up in these red and blue and these parties. And, you know, I've seen this movement where people think he's some savior or God. And I'm like, stop.
No.
I'm like, it's so not the case.
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, I think, you know, you're dealing with the lesser of two evils, but it's still the same. They're all on the same team. You know what I mean? And so The question I have, right, because obviously BlackRock was clearly probably behind both attempts with both of the guys in commercials. Like, I mean, come on, what are the like? It's absurd, but there's something where I'm like, he is not a savior, but he's also not as evil and as scary as people make him out to be. You know what I mean? Like you said, there's a neutrality. Yeah, like there's a very it's hard to put a word or a button on it. You know what I mean? But I think that they feel that he's a loose card and that they can't control him anymore. I think those type of, whether it's Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Black, Straits, Vanguard, BlackRock, whatever, like, the different lobbyist groups, Israel, whoever, I don't think they feel that they can control him anymore. And then, I still wonder, because, you guys may not know this, but there's this concept called the controlled opposition. And I think of Russia, China, North Korea. Everything is war games. When they have the G7 and the G20 summits, they just met the G7 to talk about Syria. And as soon as that all got cleared up, they went over there and bombed all their bombs. And now, they're trying to say the people in power is like a terrorist group, but they're trying to say, hey, no, we want sanctions lift off of us. We're trying to become democratic and now meet with us because we're trying to have Syrian life come back to normal. We're tired of being oppressed people. And so that's an interesting dynamic where they were assuming that this new regime would be enemies. And they're like, hey, our white flag is up. We just want to be human beings. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that can happen to a society, right, that has been under like the Assad oppression for so many years and all this stuff, which we helped bring him in too. So that's the thing that people don't understand. We, as America, as this world superpower, we create these enemies, put them in office, and then when they're not doing what we want them to do anymore, then we got to remove them.
Yeah.
And this is all like deeper level games, bigger than any politics. It's more like you were saying, like Stargates and spiritual stuff. And so that's where I don't know if BRICS and like Russia, China, North Korea, are they playing with America, England, Israel, and France? I think they may have been like, we don't want to play anymore. We're not part of the New World Order anymore. And so that's where I'm like, what's going on? Like are you sensing this separation and division, or do you think it's controlled opposition and it's the illusion that they are still all united and moving lockstep barrel together? How do you view that?
Well, we got to take it back to Trump for this, because I will reiterate, Trump is a service to others polarized being. He has been training in all of his incarnations for this role specifically. And he is completely devoted and dedicated to the law of one, 100%. And so he has been playing, we have to think of this like secret agents.
Like a movie, like an actor. He's been playing this.
This is an intergalactic war. So he is a commander in many different star systems for these different groups. So he is actually, like, again, we think of people going undercover and playing a character, and we see it in movies and we love it. But then we can't grasp it happening in front of our eyes.
As you're saying this, my left ear is ringing right now.
That this person is literally playing a character, and he's started to slowly show more of his true essence and his true self leading up to this election. And that's why he did a bunch of podcasts with like young people. He did podcasts and interviews where he wasn't on the defense, where he could open up and he could let his energy down, Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn. He did all of these things. And so he's been talking to extraterrestrials since 2020. And he's been talking to positively polarized extraterrestrials. And so the way that he's setting things up in these timelines is because as he's doing this, he's transitioning over into the new Earth timeline simultaneously. So as he, like you're saying, he is doing what you're saying too, because he incarnated into these lines as many of us incarnated into hijacked family lines
Yeah.
in order to heal, receive all of their agendas, and then break them loose. And so all of these countries that you just talked about, like, they're all going after Trump. They're all looking at him from this space because they're all the coordinated family lines. And like you're saying, this idea, it's like a false awakening that's happening through them at the same time. So like they're all these family lines are through every single country that exists and through the New World Order. Like, and so the start of the like round table New Earth society is actually going to be coming from the United States and from this breakaway and this independence that happens once again from them ushering in this timeline, which is alien invasion, alien technology, all of these different things that then creates the simultaneous New Earth timeline alongside of it. So like we're gonna get this like flashy false awakening through those people at the same time, and like they're even gonna go as far as like this false invasion happening, creating conflict, creating war, and then they're gonna present as these extraterrestrial ships that are there to transport people off planet to somewhere safe amidst this chaos and amidst this war. And that's not what service to others extraterrestrial groups are here to do. They're here again to allow us to move through this conflict. They'll intervene covertly when they need to, and they're going to start preparing us like they have been for contact with them through these telepathic messages, through these groups of positive beings all coming together with the same messages. And so that whole political, it's like I really see it like the WWE.
That's what I always say.
It's like there is a lot of acting going on in it. There's so much acting and so much performance happening within it.
I think that they're actually actors. They're not even politicians.
Oh, for sure. And there's nuanced layers of like the actors being actors for something else that's bigger too. You know, it's like the inception of kind of like secret agent politics. You know, there's like actors who don't know they're actors, that they're actually coming for the law of one. You know, it's like all these different things. Like I think of someone like James O'Keefe. Do you know who James O'Keefe is?
No, I've heard the name, but I don't remember. Who
does guerrilla journalism. And so he does investigative journalism with hidden cameras, and he'll set up dates scenarios. Like he'll pose as a gay dude and like go on dates with gay people from like Pfizer, from BlackRock, like from all these different corporations, and he gets them to tell him certain things about what's going on, and he has them on camera, and then he puts it out on his Instagram. It's great. And he's like one of these people that is like, yeah, he's just a perfect example of one of these like actors, but he's not acting. But
James O'Keefe, wow,
James O'Keefe. It's really, really good, really good. And so like I hope that kind of answers what you were talking about as well. There's just like we haven't even hit really the full scope of these families implementing these chess moves. We've been leading up to it. So the way you're talking about this kind of like false awakening, this presentation, like these two teams like acting like they're fighting, but they're on the same team, but actually they're fighting with each other behind the acting. So it's like, it's this whole thing.
Oh, it's so layered. It is. You see it.
They're making their own bed and they're digging their own grave because they can't come into harmony with themselves whatsoever. So as these actors play out, as this, you know, this show plays out, it's all playing out in this timing for us to like not get too ahead of ourselves, right? It's like, oh, is it happening? Oh no, not yet.
Okay, I still got so much. So you're good on time, right? You don't have to run.
Yeah, I got about another 15 minutes.
Okay, so I want to get back to the chat. And then I want us to lighten it a little bit and have some fun, and maybe you tune into like maybe Diddy, Ellen.
Okay.
Obviously Jay-Z just came up in the news, but this is the question: I'm fascinated and curious by this, and I think the audience would be interested to know this. For you, how much, and I want you to be honest, like how much time of breath work and meditation and introspection and isolation did it really take for you to be able to receive these downloads or uploads, some people like to call them, right? In terms of through your channeling and bringing the psychic gifts online. Like, give us like that real,
Yeah.
what are you putting in, or what did you put in over the last few years every day? And then was it seeping like a tea kettle to come in, or was there this point where like it just started pouring out on you?
Yeah. So yeah, all of the above. So in like 2018, I think it was when I realized I needed to go to therapy and I needed to start meditating. And so I went to, it was the beginning of 2018, because then, yeah, it was. So, and then I went to therapy like 5 times, didn't enjoy the person I was doing therapy with. So then I started doing like float tanks on my own and meditating. And so I just got into my own process of doing, like 5-minute meditations throughout the day and starting to get into breath work and starting to read. And so, and I was still working a lot. And so there was like a 2-year process that unfolded from there, that then once COVID happened, it was like things were trickling in, and then COVID happened and it was like the valve opened and it was just like full force being thrust into the darkness of things, human trafficking, all of this stuff. And right at that time is when I found out about channeling, and I started realizing that I could channel myself. And so that
And
was,
let's say, give me an average, like seriously, like this is fascinating, because what would you say time wise you were putting in each day to the
so
practice?
So at first I was meditating every day, and after my meditation, I do about 15 to 20 minutes of channeling. So I was doing this every day for about 6 months, 15 to 20 minutes of channeling specifically. And I would then like record messages, like not post them or anything, but just
Yeah.
like recorded to see how I was transmitting them. So then from there, it, I quit my job and I devoted myself entirely to this. Every single day was only devoted to my intuition. Nothing else was priority. And so that was basically being in a channeled space like 24/7 is
Wow.
when that started. And so that was about 3 years of 24/7. I was like, and I would have rest periods. I would have,
Yeah.
all of that, the ebb and flow, but that was the only thing that existed in my life. Nothing else existed. And that's where I was then bringing through like different codes of information systems and compiling them together, and finding all these different healing practices, because I was just channeling in this space the whole time. And that's when I would then connect to different beings and connect to different guides, and started going into the Akashic records. So I'm glad you asked that, because it was an every single day thing, and it
Right.
still is. And that started back in 2020.
And
So
that's what's so
that's
important, because that's what I preach to everybody, right? I really believe no days off.
yeah,
And for me, I tell people, never feel guilty,
yeah,
but put the toe in the water every day. Like, even
yeah,
if you do breath work, toning, meditation, grounding, earthing, hiking, whatever it is, if
yeah,
you could do 3 minutes, 5 minutes a day. I was like, I try to tell people, get up to 15 to 30 minutes, but the point is, do it every day,
yeah,
because that is, I feel, our gift to help raise the vibration of not only God, Mother Earth, but of the collective, but also to increase our inner light and to increase in our connection and consciousness to God, source, creator energy, and seeing the God within us. But we have to put in that work. It doesn't happen, and I'm not knocking anybody who works a 9 to 5 or anything like that, but it doesn't happen when you're in the matrix. It doesn't happen when you're watching CNN or Fox every day. It doesn't happen when you're, only Netflix and chilling, or only watching sports, or still listening to negative music. Like, when we choose higher vibrations and frequencies, and I call it being maniacal intentional, then you start to see things really move in your life.
Because it's the momentum.
Say it again?
You have to think of it as momentum. Like,
Yes.
you're doing it once every day for 3 minutes. That's better than doing it for 20 minutes one day and then not doing it for a whole week.
Exactly.
It's like you're building. It's
your spiritual muscles.
Yes. Yeah. Chop wood, carry water, and then you become enlightened and you chop wood and carry water. That's the quote, right? And like, people don't realize how deeply you can exercise that intention, that muscle of intention, to whereas that's your guidance throughout every day, and that's the devotion. And so, yeah, like you're saying, within that space of being channeling, I was learning different breath work. I was doing, I did a lot of meditating, tons of meditating, a lot of mantra chanting. I still do mantra chanting. But then I honestly hit this point. I went through an actual ascension point. I actually moved through my individual ascension, and things became less heavy. They became easier eventually. And I have not had to do it as much as I used to in order to like keep up to feel balanced. And I've hit more of a very steady flow of being in this like meditative breath work mantra space, just like throughout my entire day. Like, I'm always bringing in mantras. I'm always feeling my breath. I'm always readjusting the way that my energy is in my body. It's like, that's my day to day every single day,
because when it becomes like just part of like your life, then it feels less like work. It feels like just existing.
Exactly.
You exist, and it's not even like, for me, it's like, I don't even question it. I just know, like, oh, I'm going to be, mindfulness. I'm going to be still. I'm going to meditate. Like, it's like, it's Wednesday. It's time to meditate. Oh, it's Thursday. It's time to meditate. You know what I mean? So, and I find it to be very empowering. So I want us to go back to the chat, but let's quick little segue, have a little fun. Tune in right now. What's up with Diddy? How's he doing? Is it really him in jail? And where do you think this goes for him?
So I'm seeing like a tug of war between him, like two different sides pulling and like trying to decide who gets control of him.
And you realize the lawyers for him and Luigi Manolo, they're both husband and wife. That's comedy.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you can't make that up.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think it's a matter of like these sides knowing it's inevitable that something comes out. So they're trying to fight it out to figure out like whose side comes out versus the other side. And so I do feel that is Diddy in the jail.
Okay.
I don't feel that there's been other versions of Diddy. It feels like it's him, but I definitely feel like something could happen to him for sure. Like, it's very easy for that to happen as well. And so I really wouldn't be surprised, but I think that,
because of the people that he's tied to. And see, this is the thing. They try to make like, oh yeah, the young black hip hop billionaire, he's the face of sex trafficking. Stop it, right? I mean, you got Clive Davis, the politicians, royals, Lucian Grant, all these other people who birthed him, gave him the money, were like running things, and he's like the small puppet. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what's kind of irritating to me. But I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not a saint. Like, he's not a good guy.
And I think he like really wants to talk, but it looks like they're doing some things like with the Jay-Z thing. Like, they're almost, I think, bringing Jay-Z into the picture with him to like, they're using Jay-Z as a fall guy as well.
Oh, no, I think he's going to go down too. And I believe Beyonce, maybe even Oprah, I think they may all.
But I think that's why they're using Jay-Z, because I think it's going to put the attention on Jay-Z, and the feminine aspect, the Beyonce side of things, people are going to separate it because he's already cheated on her. He's already kind of been mocked and humiliated around that. So they're kind of throwing him into this space. So it's a direction of attention again. Because we know the whole Beyonce thing and Oprah thing's going on. Like that, I think would be an easy way for them to also behind the scenes create types of plea deals and whatnot with different people.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the chat, and then I want to get to Ellen, and then we can finish up with the chat. But let's see a couple of new comments and stuff. So
yeah, someone said, well, first I'll go with these two. Jennifer mentioned about Lake Erie again with Ohio. I wanted to say there's definitely something interesting going on with these lakes, these Great Lakes, and like I see them as being these having like kind of portals at the bottom and these entrance ways.
And different species are going to come up. Sedna's in Gemini, and that is the grandmother goddess energy, but it's literally going to bring new life and new food algae out of the ocean. That trining Pluto and Aquarius.
Well, for these Great Lakes, it's like it's a connection with out into the ocean, but it's like these underground submarine type tunnels, and these like there's a whole underground base area underneath the Great Lakes that's doing like cloning and doing these all of this service to self, like experimentation and whatnot. And so the energy by the Great Lakes and in Ohio is very much like eerie, unintended. And then Paul said, I'd like to share a project I've been working on for many years. Should I wait till after Mars retrograde? Well, I think it depends on what you mean by sharing, but I think Mars retrograde is an opportunity to use it to like create kind of closure around
to take action on things you did not complete.
Yeah, exactly. And like use it as like once Mars retrograde is done, that's when you're going to be in this new chapter of it. You're either going to be sharing it, you're going to be speaking on it, you're going to be doing this new thing about it. But using Mars retrograde as like this final kind of runway to really like weave things together and kind of.
Paul, you should use it with Mars retrograde because it's trining the Aries North Node at 2 degrees. Mars retrograde is at 4 degrees now. And so that trine, what is Aries North Node? It only lasted January 11th. And I've been telling people this has been this 18-month cycle pushing us to walk into our I am energy, to initiate, to be brave and courageous, to be the pioneer maverick. If you think of any Aries they don't ask questions. They're not like passive aggressive like Libra, the opposite where the South Node is. Aries is they do it and they don't apologize for what they did. And then you can talk to them about it after they're done. But they initiate. My father was an Aries. They get it done. Aries is so, it's the childhood genius, 0 to 7. But they are full step, fights, argument, assertive, aggressive initiators. They don't want to hear no. And with Mars retrograde trining that, it's like, go do what you thought or you promised or you said you were going to do. Go do it.
Yeah.
Initiate it. The energy supporting you. Go get it on, ask for the holiday bonus, the Christmas bonus, the New Year's bonus, the raise. Like, hey, I put in a lot of work in 2024, 2025. You better pay me more or I'm bouncing. Like, right? We got the strike with the unions at Amazon. I was talking about that today in Astro Weather.
Yeah, this Mars retrograde has been a crazy experience. And like,
oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, what you're saying too for Paul, like use the power of Mars to like to really like use it as like a runway.
And it's in Leo, so do it from your heart chakra. Be brave. Like Leo is brave and courageous, passionate. Like, but do it from your heart, right? Remember, Leo's the regal king and queen. It's the politician and the entertainer. So release, share, definitely get after it, man.
100%.
Yeah,
that was a clear message, Paul.
I know, right? Paulie Two Tones, have at it, my friend. Any other? I think we may see there was another one.
Kim Kyla mentioned you, Eric, telling her about or asking if she wore orange during your reading with her. So that definitely connects with whatever was coming through for you about orange. I like to think of colors as bridges, as you can do it as visualization tools. Like I imagine colors around your body, around your aura, and you can communicate with beings, go into different memories, into your Akashic records. So really using the orange color as a bridge itself. And if you like dragons, you can even imagine orange as a dragon. I really like working with dragons. So
Okay.
all the colors are dragons themselves. They're the primordial beings of creation. They make up time and space. So if you think of a color spectrum, they're all dragons. Each zodiac sign, that's creating a timeline, which is a dragon itself. And so when you work with them as dragons, it's really bringing us back into this like really like kind of the times of Gaia and of Lyra and of our previous dragon times. So I encourage you to work with dragons if you feel aligned with it.
What do you sense with anything, you know, all this drama? Oh, I'm leaving the country if Trump wins, and Ellen leaves, which wasn't because of that. She's leaving because of the life that she's been living.
Yeah.
What do you feel from her?
I actually feel like she's been kind of like shunned from someone, from some group. I'm not sure if it like represents people being like mad at her, like fans or society, but it seems like some group that like had her back, one of these like, you know, elite family lines, these like secret society groups, kind of like went like this with her.
Her bloodline, she is connected, I think, is it the Rockefellers or somebody? Yeah.
Where'd she move to?
I don't remember. Maybe England. I'm not sure.
This will give us some insight. Probably. Where'd she move to? Moved to UK.
Yeah.
So she could be also being like passed around through these bloodlines. So she was perhaps in these American bloodlines, and they kind of like shooed her over to these UK bloodlines for them to do what they please with her. Because she's very much just like a puppet for them, you know, like there isn't much happening in terms of her authority with the pyramid, with the hierarchy, with these beings.
Oh yeah, no.
She's really just used as like a manipulation, like mind control device. So it seems like the perspective of her from the inside is very much like, what are we doing with you?
That's interesting. So have you tuned in ever to Elon?
Oh yeah.
What are you getting from him? I mean, I know as a child they said that maybe he had opened up some sort of portal. Some people think he's from Mars. He's a reptilian, alien. He's definitely part of the New World Order. All these different things. But what have you sensed in terms of him spiritually?
So I do feel he's polarized, service to self and neutral. It's like a mix, a lot of neutral, and he pushes himself more into service to self from his ignorance towards his trauma and his karma. And so he is an AI like hybridized replicated being that is somewhat of a clone from these family lines from Mars. And so and his name, if you rearrange it, it can be Leon, which is from these Leo oversoul lines. And this is why he has these blinders on to get back to Mars, because he has this karma connecting him to Mars, and he's not working through it in a way that is positively polarized. And so he's very aware of who he is and what he's doing, very aware.
Oh yeah. And you know, the Virgo moon like you. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, yeah.
And he I think he's way more manipulative than he leads himself to be.
Oh gosh.
And that he's somewhat of this kind of like antichrist representative for the X. It's like the X factor, basically, like the Nibiru, Zeta Gray whole type of agenda. And so I feel that he is very aware of these things, and is also seen as a wild card as well from these family lines, because he does want to do his own thing.
Yeah.
He does look at a lot of these family agendas, and he is kind of like in like a fuck you type space.
Well, you
But
know,
he,
they said he's the richest man in the world now. After
yeah,
the election, his wealth has increased like 35%.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Over like 250 billion or something crazy.
He's just he's really working based in like the karmic timeline.
And what
He's
trips me is that everything, he's similar to Bill Gates. Everything he does is funded by the government.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. You know what I mean? He's not like, you know, he came on to Tesla. He came on to PayPal. The only thing he started himself was X.com. But, you know, like this guy, like it's really trippy to me. There's something, you know, there's going to be a lot revealed, you know. So
have you seen the image of him in a costume at the costume party where he's dressed as the devil? He's like dressed as Baphomet.
Oh yeah.
In the costume. He looks very sneaky in the picture.
Oh yeah. Well, he kind of looks like a snake or a reptilian, just the face. And his father was into some dark blood diamond nefarious stuff.
Yeah, dude, the emerald.
Extremely racist. The father, like, oh my god.
The emerald mines. Yeah, it's definitely like very, like, you think of mining and them harvesting energy through mining, like then in the colonization in South Africa, everything that happens through that process, it's just like
three fascinating fathers: Fred Trump, Prescott Bush, and Elon's dad.
Yeah,
those three at a bar. Oh my god. So, you know, as we wind down, we are going to a universal 9-year. It's the year of the snake, Chinese astrology.
Okay.
But for me, I got Jupiter on the ascendant, man. I'm optimistic. I'm always positive the sun's going to shine tomorrow. So I want you to share with the collective, you know, what are the glimmers of hope and words of inspiration for, obviously, you know, I know the main thing is like we said earlier, like, hey, no days off, you got to meditate. But what should be the intention for the collective for the ascension, and really the intention for universal 9-year 2025 year of the snake? Like what is positive and hopeful on the horizon amongst all this craziness that we're seeing and their agendas and confusion? What should we be doing?
Well, the positive note is that the ascension reality, the new earth reality, is available to us right now. It's through our gratitude, through our open heart, through our joy that creates this state of happiness and bliss. But that comes from us doing the work, doing the meditation, sitting with our shadow, taking our foot off of the gas, putting our foot on the brake. That's one of the most significant things that has helped me through the last 4 years, is so much rest, so much recharging. And so trusting in your intuition, but trusting that this new earth reality isn't somewhere that we're waiting for, something that's coming to us. It's here right now. And when we're intentionally tuning into that, we're going to be brought to the quantum realities no matter what is going on in our external world. We're going to be brought through, you know, back doors to safe environments. We're going to be brought to the situations and the people that we need to know to expand on and throughout our journey. And so the year of 9 is really about your expression, like surrendering into your most authentic expression through your voice and through like this atomic doorway chakra that's here in the mouth, that your authentic expression coming out of this chakra will crystallize your reality. And that when you're doing this, you're going to be shown the relationships and people that aren't reciprocating your vibration. So this is the next call into the next level of being a warrior, being a spiritual warrior that holds compassion, holds an open heart, and holds boundaries towards what your authentic reality is. And so you have so much guidance. We have so much guidance. It's crazy us being a part of all of this. When I think of like getting on here today with you in this conversation, I just had so much gratitude. Like I was telling my partner, like, it's like, I just feel so free. Like I feel like I think about my days and I like, there used to be this resistance throughout my days of like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this. And then now I just take a step back and I'm like, I get to do this. I get to do whatever I want for the next 3
I enjoy doing this. Yes.
I'm involved in this beautiful like experience. Like it just the simultaneous polarity of like, wow, that's dense, that's intense, and I'm not going to let that get in the way of my peace and my gratitude for my reality and for God.
Yes. And it all comes back to God and gratitude and all that stuff. And that's so beautifully said, man. I appreciate you so much and the work you do for the collective. I want you to share your website, the services you offer, and how people can connect with you, because I know, you teach different courses and help people through these things. So share with the audience the best ways they can get in touch with Rayan Raelsbek.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just my first and my last name as one word as the Instagram handle. And that's the main access to what I offer. So one-on-one healing sessions, I do that independently for myself. And so we go into many different things. I can bring through channeled messages, connect with your guides, release trapped emotions, subconscious beliefs, work with deep trauma and PTSD. I've been through a lot of that myself. And so for very deeply embedded things, sexual trauma, the whole scope of the mind and the spiritual holistic wellness is available through the one-on-one sessions. I also offer mentorship containers that are 5-week long one-on-ones. I also offer Reiki master training, which is connecting you to your Reiki Stargate Codex, your Star Seed Codex, which is an 8-week long one-on-one container. And then I'm also offering sessions with my partner, Deborah. We do like twin flame karmic healing, relationship healing sessions, as well as like sacred union, Q&A guidance, and dragon containers. So
and what type of work does she do?
So she does similar things. She does a lot of Akashic Records stuff. She does a lot of channeled messages, trauma healing. And so if you look at my Instagram, her and I have a lot of videos together. You'll notice it's her and I in them. And so, yeah, then we have a podcast together called The Temple, which we'll have to get an episode with you on there.
I would be honored, my brother.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, there's a lot of stuff through my Instagram, and I'll be offering more containers, group containers soon. Going to be offering the last group container that I just finished up. Going to be offering that as courses, a course for people to do at home. So yeah,
I love it.
Instagram, and feel free to reach out for a session.
That is amazing. You guys definitely reach out to Rayan. And, I will let the audience know, this is our second time doing a show together. And, he's just real people. Hey, listen, the Virgo moon, that's all you need to know. You know what I mean? And that's something that people don't understand. The Pisces moon's more psychic, but the most intuitive moon in astrology is the Virgo moon, man.
That makes sense.
And it is like, when you feel that thing down there, it's like in your gut, you feel it. Your body tells you the answers, right? Like you feel it, that you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's that Virgo moon. It is. I've seen it in action. That's why Virgo moons are the best nurses. Because think of Virgo Pisces. Remember, January 11th, we go to the Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node. And that Pisces North Node will immediately be conjunct because it goes retrogrades back opposite from Aries. It will immediately be conjunct Neptune. 2025, you guys, is going to be a powerful year.
Yep.
And they want to create it with chaos and fear. But it is a year of continued ascension, continued positivity. But when we tell you no days off, 2025 is not like 2024. 2025, it is literally no days off. And Rayan, I don't know if you've been getting these messages, but it's been strong for me. We have got to be maniacal, intentional about our health.
Yes.
Do not poison your body anymore. Pluto in Aquarius is about parasite cleanses, detoxification. That's why I've been doing this 16-day cleanse, the master cleanse with the cayenne pepper, organic maple syrup, lemon juice, distilled water. And it has been a game changer for me. And my wife and I have made this commitment where we're actually now, we're going to just do it shorter, not 16 days, but every month, 12 times this year. Once a month, we're going to take like a week, 5 to 7, maybe 7 to 10 days, and just re-cleanse once a month. But even on top of that, I'm going to do a parasite cleanse in 2025. I've never done one. It's time. Pluto's in Aquarius, it is time.
I highly recommend the company Symbiotica and their Parax. It's Parax. It's a parasite cleanser.
Okay.
Highly recommend that parasite cleanse. But yeah, exactly like what you're saying. The focus is the body. The body's the temple. That's what brings us through to all of these different gateways. And the body is the atomic doorway, right?
Yes,
that's
sir.
where we're vibrating into existence. So I appreciate you so much, brother. I'm excited to do a round 3.
Oh, I can't wait. And I look forward to meeting your new partner, Miss Deborah, and coming on your podcast together. That sounds fun. And then I'll have to, once I meet her, I'll have to have her here with me.
Definitely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. She has her own podcast too. She talks about some really interesting stuff.
Oh, I'm sure she does. And I know if she's connected to you,
she's
gonna be a deep sister. So I already like her. So you know what I mean? If you vouch for her, then she's all right with me.
Yeah. Word, man.
That's how me and you roll.
Yeah.
But this has been fun. Thank you for everybody in the chat. I'm sorry we didn't get to all your comments and questions. Do me a favor. If you happen to be like Rayan, a Sagittarius, although he likes to rock with the galactic astrology and Ophiuchus, right?
Very deeply in touch with my Sagittarius roots, though.
Okay.
I wouldn't leave that behind.
Okay. But I will say this: it's Capricorn season.
Yeah.
But the day started off at 29 degrees Sagittarius.
Okay.
We are in the winter solstice. My Sagittarius birth chart sale ends tonight, midnight, West Coast. You can still email me, eric@BigEAstrology.com, and book the Sagittarius birth chart sale, solar return, natal chart, or secondary progression, right? 162 live, 65 minutes via Zoom, or the custom video summary, the mini movie of your life at 252. And Sagittarius, take advantage of it. Capricorns, you start tomorrow, and that's going to be 163 and a special 244 since I'm a Capricorn moon for Capricorn Sun Moon risings until January 20th. And I still have my holiday love chart sale, only $33. It's a great stocking stuffer, a great gift for friends, family, love through the natal birth chart, 5th, 7th house, Juno, Venus, Jupiter, Moon, and more. And it is such a great gift because I wanted to give the gift of love going into 2025 and 2024. So that sale ends on the 31st. You can still purchase it even before Christmas, and I can mail out the digital gift card Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, whatever you select, if it is a gift for someone else or just for yourself. But for $33, it's a steal. You can't beat it. It's a lot of information and help you with the archetype and character traits of potential love. I can even see, when and where, and really narrow down for you, who's really right for you. Because let's be honest, we think we're experts at all aspects of our lives. We'll seek advice for so many things, but we really don't seek advice for love. And that's the one we need more help with, right? Mm-hmm. So, definitely tune in with that. And my brother, Merry, happy.
Absolutely.
You know, and this has been more than fun, and I can't wait to connect again in 2025. So thank you, my friend.
Much love, brother. Much love.
This was awesome. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Episode 280. I'll be back Sunday night, Capricorn moon, talking about the new moon, which is on the 30th, and Neptune. Hope you're ready for that. Sunday night, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Oh, actually, no, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you Sunday night. Thank you, everybody. And come back, share this. We shared so much. Rayan shared so much information. Share it. You don't know who's ready for it. Even your friend that's all up in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNN, CBS, caught up in the matrix. There could be one phrase, one word, one message that just sparks something. You don't know what it takes. So you just texting it to them, putting it on your Facebook, sharing it on X or Twitter, whatever. You don't know. So please come back after we say goodbye. Come back and comment. It helps the live grow an algorithm. But like it, share it, and subscribe, and go follow Rayan Raelsbek on Instagram. You won't regret it. He is an awesome follow. Okay, I get entertained every day. I'm like, oh, I'll just be scrolling through after I put up my post, and then I'll see you pop up like, what's Rayan talking about today? What's going on? What download did he get today? And it never disappoints. And I watch the full thing, like, whatever it is, the full 90 seconds or whatever, and sometimes longer. So
I try to keep it interesting.
Yeah, man. And keep the work going. Stay inspired, because, we may not see it, you and I, but we're needed. We are needed. People are looking at us that we don't even know. They may not ever once hit like. They may not once comment. They may not come to a live, but there's still eyes on us that still are getting insight and information and hope and downloads and knowledge that we don't even know. So we got to keep showing up for the collective. We're called to do this work. We have remembered who we are. And that's what's so exciting about this life. We have remembered, my brother.
Absolutely, man.
All right, you guys. Enjoy the weekend. Happy Capricorn season, winter solstice, all that good stuff. Much love. Eric Taylor, BigEAstro. This is Rayan.